Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. All right, then. So it's your side mirror this beautiful Tuesday. And we're set to roll in terms of the conversation. Like we said, it's all about how we can keep tabs on Lagos State Budget 2021 plus 600 days of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, how it is really undulating. We'll be talking about that during the course of the program in the conversation. But let me let you know that the Lagos State government has temporarily closed the airport bridge at Toyota on Oshodi Apapa Expressway. Of course, this is close to vehicular traffic movement to enable it to conduct structural engineering tests on the bridge after a tanker explosion that occurred at that area last Thursday. We've been talking about alternate routes that you can navigate through pending the outcome of the test for the reopening of the bridge to traffic. All right, now, so motorists that are coming from Mile 2 to Sele on the Apapa Oshodi Expressway using Iyano Isolo through Daliko Bridge will need to make use of Aye and, of course, that's Osolo Way to connect Ashafari Ogun through 7 and 8. And from there, you can proceed through to the International Airport Road if you are heading towards that direction. Now, motorists that are coming from Toyota will make use of the service lanes by Armed Forces Resettlement Center through BOC gases on Old NACDAC headquarters, through a U-turn at Car Park on Agege Motor Road, and from there to Bolade in order to reach International Airport Road, and then you can proceed on your journey. Also, those of you that are coming in from the bus Terminal 2 Transport Interchange, going inwards Charity on Apapa Oshodi Expressway, you can connect International Airport Road from Toyota through Anthony Oke, Ikorodu Road on the service lane, and of course you can make a return via Anthony Oke inwards Oshodi Oke to Charity, and then you can connect International Airport Road from there to proceed on your journey. All right, take note of that, and of course in the days to come we'll continue to talk about that as that structural engineering test continues within that particular location. All right, then we did talk about a lone accident earlier on as well, a lone accident at Eric Moore Junction at Surulere. So you need to watch out for that as well. Also, if you are within the Victoria Island axis, we did say it's still relatively good, but watch out for slow movement around the alternation points. That's just all that we have within that location this morning. All right, then, so let's proceed to the conversation. We're keeping tabs on Lagos State Budget 2021, and who else is better suited than the man who has all the figures and, of course, who can articulate the vision of Mr. Governor in very simplistic language. And I'm talking about Honourable Sam Egube, who is the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, and he's joining me right now on the program. Nice to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Terry.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Great.
Happy New Year indeed.
Great. And I love the way we've been talking behind the microphone. You seem to have lots of optimism for the year 2021. Is that correct?
Certainly. You need a lot of optimism to go through your challenges. If you give up, then the energy you require to go through the challenges you have lost.
Right. So before we settle in on the current budget cycle, let's do a brief overview of the year 2020 financials. How did we perform last year?
Last year was very good, given the challenges that we faced. We had a budget size of 920. As at when I checked, we have crossed the 85% performance on that. On the revenue side, we're at 93%.
Right.
And we are taking it home.
Right. And this is intriguing because considering that COVID-19, the pandemic affected resources in terms of internally generated revenue. So how are we able to manage the state and we still recorded this 85% budget performance?
I think it boils down to leadership. The leadership of Mr. Governor Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu is extremely strong. He has also a very strong team working with him. And therefore, in the face of challenges, we look up and you can see the reviews which the state and especially himself has gotten just going through the challenges in the pandemic.
All right.
Now, if you hold the steering wheel very strongly and you are focused on your objectives, then you can drive through it. And that's what we have done.
But it's not as simple as that, because the way you're putting it now, it looks so easy. But I'm just looking through. So what measures in terms of support did the state give, especially as key areas like the industries? A lot of them, I'm sure, looking from their financials, did underperform. But you are saying now that you guys must have done well.
Yeah, we've done well, relatively speaking. You know that we also reviewed our expectation about June, where we cut down our budget expectation by about 24% from to 920 billion.
All right.
Right. So everybody needed to put on a strap on their belt and then pull through the challenges. And I think it is how you work with the people to pull through those challenges that count. I would say that Lagos has a very high-flying spirit. Those who are in Lagos are used to driving really hard. So despite the challenges, working with the people of Lagos and with the cabinet, I think we've been able to come this far.
All right.
And that is why we can look up to 2021 with a lot of hope.
So let's come to 2021 then. So the budget has been signed by Mr. Governor, and it is something that falls upon your shoulders really to break down the figures. A lot of times we hear about budgets. Not many people do understand what these figures represent. So that's why we're bringing you in here this morning to also shed light on this. Let's look at the budget 2021. What does it look like? And first of all, what's it christened?
Well, the budget is christened the budget of rekindled hope for 2021, and the uniqueness of the budget, it's in the amount of participation by the citizen in crafting it. It is the audacity to aspire on behalf of the people of Lagos to deliver a 1.16 trillion budget coming through a pandemic and a very destructive loss of lives of properties from a badly hijacked protest.
Right. And I'm going to come in at that point, because 1.16 trillion, doesn't that sound too ambitious?
Well, if you come to Lagos, you cannot leave your ambition behind, right? And you cannot leave your courage behind. And that is what it's about. We believe, right, that we are going to deliver it through the various channels that we have crafted out in its uniqueness.
Right.
So yeah.
So it's not too ambitious. It's something that we can overcome. That's
no, it's just an ambition that fits us in Lagos. Lagos is an ambitious city. You need to put together your people. You need to galvanize your people through a very strong leadership. And that is what is unique about this budget, is the continued determination that no community will be left behind, right? It is the teamwork of the state cabinet and the performance management systems that ensure a strong budget performance. This budget is the story of a strong cabinet and a strong leader in Mr. Governor who will not back down to the challenge, but will move full speed ahead with a lot of courage and with a lot of style. All right, then.
So let's look at the various areas, the various aspects of this budget 2021. What are the key indexes that would aggregate into this 1.16 trillion naira that we're looking at the end of the year?
Well, the budget is, in terms of, it's important that we understand the mission of the budget.
Okay, let's talk about that first.
Because on that basis, you then see how the resource has been allocated. Basically, there are 10 things we're looking at. One of them is to aggressively develop and maintain infrastructure.
Okay.
You can't develop businesses without that.
Right.
Then to create employment and enhance food security, and then improve civic participation, inclusion, and cooperation in governance.
Right.
The fourth is to invest in a human capital development, looking at areas like education and healthcare, and then to deploy functional technology for public service. We also want to improve our capacity to collect our revenues. There is no expenditure without revenues, and then therefore attract investments through public-private partnerships to cover for the gaps where your revenues can take you to.
Right.
We also said we'll improve the healthcare systems, the environment, and our public spaces, and then improve youth engagement. It was heightened a lot in this budget, and their participation and empowerment, and you cannot go away from the last one, which is to rebuild Lagos, given the devastation which Lagos went through in the past months.
All right, so this is very, very huge. You look at the 10 important things that will really contribute towards achieving this budget of rekindled hopes can we begin to look at the participation now and break it down to figures and how we're going to constitute this 1.16? How is it allocated now?
Okay, so maybe to make it useful to the public, I would deviate a little bit from our normal COFOG technical classification.
Okay.
And then just look at what we intend to do in various areas.
Right.
So when it comes to infrastructure, we are growing our infrastructure deployment by almost 38%, from 211 billion to 291 billion.
Okay.
And that covers the various things we'll be doing in infrastructure, in the judiciary, in the justice, in our ports, our free trade zone, in our transport infrastructure, in our roads, for example. For example, we are going to increase our investment in transportation by 82%, from 50.8 billion to 92 billion. Yes, and in terms of works and infrastructure and the entire family under it, we'll be increasing it by 22%, from 143 billion to 174 billion.
Right.
And that covers a combination of things that we do. So I'm not just looking at the Ministry of Works, but I'm pulling together
transportation,
our entire infrastructure deployment. Right, is why the figures are like this. So it's very interesting. In terms of education infrastructure, we are growing it by 35% under our script platform, from 9.9 billion to 13.4 billion. Right, then let's go to food security, which covers things around agriculture, right, and what we'll be doing in collaboration with the World Bank and in our rice mill. We're growing that by 48%, from 14 billion to 20.7 billion, which will deploy things around trying to complete the rice mill.
That's right.
Trying to look at roads into some of those agricultural positions. But one important part we must not forget, it is people that drive this. And if our people are not strong and are not healthy, we will be unable to do this. So under our human capital development and health, human capital development, for example, grows by about 33%, from 121 billion to 160 billion, largely driven by what we will spend in education, which is 146 billion, a growth of 36%. But education is not just in a normal formal school education. We also have wealth creation, women affairs and poverty alleviation driving the education system, and some of the things we do around our SDGs. And all those, WAPA, for example, which is women affairs and poverty alleviation, is growing by 93%, from 2 to 4 billion. Wealth creation by 44%. So you see growth in a lot of the areas we want to focus on. Of course, we've held health very strong at 106%. And this economy I talked a little bit in our objectives.
I'm just looking at that 106%. Is that also...
No, not 106.
106 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, and that's also putting into perspective the fact that we still have the coronavirus pandemic is very much around, right?
Yes, we do. But don't forget that we made a lot of upfront investments. We had, in the last budget, put in an additional 20 billion just to strengthen the system. So the health system is relatively much stronger than it was before, but we'll continue to maintain a very strong pandemic response.
Right. Okay, then. So one aspect which you mentioned now is youth engagement going into 2021. And in that aspect, what is the government going to be doing, and how is the budget going to provide for it? I mean, for instance, I know the NSAS thing, Mr. Governor engaged lots of youths, and even after then he's been doing that. But in terms of response going into 2021, how are we going to articulate that into a vision that will really, really empower youths?
So there are a combination of things we need to look at. First of all, I talked about our human capital development budget, right? It includes developing our youth, our educational sector, wealth creation, our women, and poverty alleviation. But beyond that, I also talk about technology, which is heavily a youth play, right? Where we are growing our budget from 8 billion to 32 billion, almost 298%. We believe that our youth can be very, very actively engaged in it. We're building a broadband fiber infrastructure around Lagos under a PPP initiative that will take high-speed internet, right, to towers and to homes. Right, and all of that will help the creative capacity of our youths. But beyond that, right, we are going to also engage them through sports, right, where we're putting about 5 billion, right, basically to drive community sports development, improving of those facilities, and basically their reorientation, because you also need to speak a lot about our youths to reorient them from the grassroots and get them engaged in productive ability.
All right. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This is your side mirror, and today we have the Honourable Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget in the building with us, breaking it down for us in terms of us keeping tabs on the Lagos State 2021 budgets. And even though I was thinking it's a highly ambitious figure of 1.16 trillion naira, Mr. Commissioner is making me realize this morning it's all woven about a rekindled hope, which Lagos State is very resilient to attain. Very, very shortly, I'll allow you to join the conversation as well. And so, let's get back to this, Honourable Sam Egube. Well, it's true that we have rekindled hope. What roles do the citizens play in actualizing this budget of 2021?
Well, I would say the first thing you said was that maybe this budget was too audacious.
Yes.
And I told you that that is what the spirit of Lagos is about. When you come to Lagos or you live in Lagos, you need that level of audacity to do well in Lagos. And that's the spirit we have. Now, you also need to understand that in this total budget, in terms of the revenues which we are looking at, the revenue expectation is about 971.
Okay, that's right. The internally generated revenue.
Exactly. So the internally generated revenue of that is 723 billion. Out of that, we're expecting the LRS to deliver about 512. You had asked, how will we do this? We plan to continue to simplify the tax processes, to then begin to use technology, right, to ensure that it's easy for us to process our taxes easily too. But beyond that, we're looking at various revenue opportunities in the real estate sector, in the transport sector, markets. They hold a lot of possibilities for more revenues, and we can use data and use intelligence to seek those revenue opportunities and plug the leakages. But there's been some conservatism as well. In our federal transfers, for example, we've basically held it at last year's level, right? Because of the challenges. So we've not been bullish on every side and all of that. But coming to your question, you can see that in terms of our mission, how we intend to drive it, one of the pillars of those 10 things I mentioned to you is participation, citizens' participation and citizens' engagement. So the citizens have been involved even in the crafting of this budget. There was a lot of engagement by government, both by the executive and by the House of Assembly. And I will tell you that, so this is the people's budget, actually. And in the budget to be achieved means we must drive our revenues correctly and then ensure we execute right on the expenditure side. And we will be doing that, just encourage the citizen to continue to speak up, to continue to interact with government, to continue to tell us what is happening and where the shoe is pinching, but also that they should honor their obligation in respect of paying their taxes, and that's the appropriate taxes.
That's right. So I'm going to come in on that aspect of taxes, which you just mentioned now. Even though we're going to be driving it using more in terms of technology, what is the tax penetration? What's the level of penetration for people who really pay tax in Lagos as we stand today? What does it look like?
Well, let's say it's about 30%, right?
Of the working population?
Yeah, of the working population. We believe over between 8 and 10 million should be paying taxes. Probably right now about 3 are paying. But even that 3 million or 30%, 40% that are paying, we do believe that there are opportunities for correct taxing, right? And if we tax correctly, then we should get significantly much more to run the infrastructure requirements and the social requirements of our people.
So from your assessment, those 30%, are they underpaying?
Well, certainly they are underpaying.
Okay.
Certainly they are underpaying. Now, that is not to say the entire 30% are underpaying.
All right.
But also to say the 70% who are not paying needs to begin to participate in a more committed way.
Right. So the Lagos State government will be going on an aggressive drive then. Because a lot of times you see people who make money and paying the tax, they just don't understand. Some of them might be willing to, but because they do not understand, the money just goes away. So what are you going to be doing in terms of advocacy to ensure people know how they should be paying their taxes compulsorily or even voluntarily without any enforcement?
So which is why I didn't use the word aggressively following it, which was the word you used.
Right.
I used the word using data and intelligence, right? And once you have the intelligence, you'll be communicating correctly. And that correct communication will encourage citizens to then pay. And there are various systems, right, around the state which you will interact with as a resident of the state from time to time. And we'll be able to look into those systems to be sure that you are paying the right kind of taxes.
All right, then, Lagos Traffic Radio, 96.1 FM. Honourable Sam Egube is our guest. This morning, he's the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, and we are keeping tabs on the 2021 Lagos State Budget, and we're looking at it from all angles as well. Before I begin to take the calls, quickly, in the next 8 or how many days, Mr. Governor will be marking 600 days in office for his administration. How's it been? So far, so good. As a cabinet, of course, as the man who's driving it, what would you say in terms of him meeting up with the dividends of democracy?
It's been an interesting 600 days. Of course, the cabinet came in a little bit later than the government, but it's been very, very interesting. When I told you about the uniqueness of the budget, is in the strength and the teamwork that runs in cabinet. And there's been a lot of achievement, a lot of achievement in the finance sector. You remember we talked about the last time how we negotiated our finances, saving probably over 20 billion, over 12 billion in the process.
Right.
Just negotiating the interest rate from an average of about 20% to 12%. There are things which we are pushing in the health sector that are going to be landscape changing, right? In terms of using technology in health care systems, what we're doing with the children's hospital when we complete it, is going to probably be the largest in sub-Saharan Africa.
Where is that located?
It's going to be located somewhere in the Lagos Island, probably around the Adeniyi area. We are going to lead again this country in setting up a Lagos State Infectious Disease Research Center. And doing a lot on the health side. On the education side, it's been a slam dunk. We are empowering our people. We've put significant amount of furnishing behind our people, furnishing for over 212,000 of our children in schools.
Right.
We are switching the education system into a technology adaptable system, being the first in Nigeria for our tertiary to adopt a learning management system that they can learn remotely.
Right.
And that basically helps us adapt better with the new normal. But we're not doing that only in our tertiary institutions. Even in the secondary and in the primary institutions, we're deploying different forms of technology devices to aid the learning outcomes of our people. Right. And then doing a lot of renovation, rehabilitation. About 589 of our schools, right, were rehabilitated or reconstructed. About 1,500 bed hostels were done. And we continue to pursue that because a government doesn't end in 1 year.
It's
in 2021, we'll continue to pursue and push all of these envelopes. And I think Lagos will definitely be better for it. So it's been an interesting 600 days coming.
All right, then. Lagos Traffic Radio, 96.1 FM. Let's begin to hear from you this morning. We have the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget in the studios with me, and we're breaking it down in terms of the figures that you need to know as relates to Budget 2021. And he has articulated it in a very, very strong way. It's a budget of rekindled hopes, and of course, that is really needed considering what we went through in the year 2020. Let's hear from you this morning. 0809 912 0777. That's 0809 912 0777 is the numbers to connect with us. You can also link up with us on our Facebook page as well. That's Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. And also on Twitter, it's at Lagos Traffic 961. Okay, at Lagos Traffic 961. Link up with us, and of course, we'll be here to take your calls. Hello there. All right. Hello. Okay. Guess that we lost that. 08099120777. We have the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget with us in the studio. Hello there.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Bidemi. I'm calling from Isolo.
Nice to hear from you, Bidemi. Go ahead.
Yeah, before I go ahead, maybe your technician need to look into this. The reception of the station around this area is not this morning.
Okay, it's not very good this morning.
Yes.
All right, we'll try and address that.
We appreciate the commissioner coming on screen to give us some tips. And as we all know that in Lagos, that is a metropolis like this, the private sectors have a lot of way to boost the economy. I want to know, what are they doing concerning, a lot of private establishments
have been what? Bidemi?
People that are affected by the hoodlums or also those things. I mean, affected. What are they doing concerning private sectors?
Okay.
Some of them are closed down. Some of them have been downsized. Some of them have closed up a lot of their branches. So what are they doing concerning that? Because, the private sector is...
Oh, okay, the network has knocked them out. But I think I get the import of your contribution, the role of the government in helping the private sector to stabilize, considering the current situation. All right, we've taken note of that. We'll put all of them together, and then we'll allow all the questions to be answered at once. Talk to us. Hello there. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. What's the name?
Ayo, from Mogba.
All right, Ayo, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, please, I want to know is the red rail and the blue rail. Is it captured in 2021 budget?
Okay.
And how far have you guys gone about the Fourth Mainland Bridge? Now, let me quickly check this thing about the taxpayers. Now, you said about 30% are paying taxes in Lagos. Now, why can't, instead of telling people those 30% that they should pay their normal tax, why can't you go after the rest of them, let's say the 70%? Capture them in, let them start paying something, instead of getting the bulk of the problem on those 30 people. Now, for an instance, even some that is paying that tax, their workers is paying, and they are not remitting it to the government. I can tell you all these private schools, 90% of them, they are not remitting. And government knows. What are they doing about it?
Okay, all right.
Government cannot say they don't know about it. About 90%. They will be paying their workers 15,000, 20,000, and they will still deduct tax from it, and they will not remit it to the government cost. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Ayo. Increasing the dragnet for taxpayers, and of course, taking charge of the remaining 70%, which Mr. Commissioner was alluding to earlier on. Okay, then we'll still take more. 08099120777. It's all about the figures. It's all about the budget 2021. Talk to me. Hello there.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Victor, good morning. Good morning to the Honourable Commissioner.
Good morning.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Ibukun Badmos.
All right, Ibukun Badmos. Go ahead.
I'm calling from Surulere.
All right.
Yeah. Now, I just want to ask one very simple question. How does Lagos State intend to collect taxes from people who are doing white-collar jobs, from artisans, from so many other people that
Taxes from people who are involved in white-collar jobs and artisans and others as well. Okay. White-collar jobs. I think I didn't know the ones that do pay. All right, then, but we'll find out. We'll still get more. Let's hear from you before we get the questions back to the Commissioner. Hello there.
Hello, Victor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Adiola on the line from Ikorodu.
Good, Adela. Go ahead.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Anyway, I have a question for the commissioner. And I have a suggestion. You see, Lagos State is losing so much revenue, especially from all these unions, road transport unions, and the like. They collect illegal taxes from buses and from at the tax, generally. Let's just leave it at that. Now, what is the government doing to change that? This money should be going to the local government, not for individuals, not for the unions, because the unions have become so powerful in Lagos State. They have so much money to throw around because they are getting money, and that's the cost. That's what is causing the high cost of transportation. Look, if you look at very early in the morning between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. when these union members are not out, the cost of transportation is low. And then come back to about 7:30, 8 o'clock again, it becomes lower. But during the day, they collect money for chairman, money for lunch, money, all those things. That's one. Okay. Two, in Lagos State budget, how do they evaluate it at the end of the year? Because when you look around, you look at some projects. I have a copy of last year's budget. I saw some projects. And I don't know I was going to ask the commissioner to tell us what the performance rate of last year's budget was, looking at the COVID issue and everything. But there are some abandoned projects started last year, or even started years before, or continued last year, which has not continued.
Like which one? Can you mention one abandoned project?
I can talk about this road. I can't remember the name of the road in Ikorodu. Half of it was started. The other place was just put granite stone on it. It was not completed.
Okay, but you don't know the name of the road?
I can get the name later and then get back to you. I don't know the name of the road, but it has been a very good alternative route to affect the Ikorodu roundabout. So that's where a lot of people have been passing. Okay. That's there. Yeah, so now we need to also look at that, how to go about, because when you look at it, if they say 90-70% performance of the budget, that means contractors must have gotten a lot of money. So why are the roads not, if they give 70% to a contractor, why is the road 50%?
Okay, all right. Let's allow the commissioner to respond then. Thank you so much. All right, so we have some questions here. Let's see. Where do you want to tackle it from?
Well, I think I should tackle it from the last one.
Okay.
From Adiola. Adiola, thank you very much for your suggestions. Yes, you are correct. Unions are unions and they are legitimate in terms of the laws allows for people to associate with unions. Monies that are paid under this arrangement are union monies. Now, having said that, it's our belief, right, that every sector, right, should contribute to the tax net, and given that they are not technically illegal, right, we will not approach it from trying to stop the unions.
Okay.
However, we must begin to look for ways and means by which we collaborate with the unions, right, to collect the right type of taxes on the transactions that they supervise, or specific transactions around taxation around particular assets. So, for example, when you need to do a new road, and it happens all over the world, those roads are then tolled, right? And when they are tolled, it means you pay your tax on transportation around the use of those roads.
Okay.
Now, Lagos State does not have a culture of abandoned projects. Sometimes, when we look at our performance and we say we're 80% performed, it means that in that particular year, we might have planned to get to 30% of that particular project. So if we got to 80% of that 30%, then you have done 80%.
Okay.
Not all projects will be started and finished
that same year.
In the same year in which they have started. But in terms of the way the budget works, we always take into account as a first consideration ongoing projects. There's no point tying down monies in a project without finishing it to allow the benefit of that project come out to the people. So we'll continue to work out systems. We'll continue to work with unions who are part of the society. We'll continue to work with various sectors, like the transport sector, the real estate sector, and our markets generally, to just ensure that all our members are civically responsible in the payment of their taxes.
Let's connect with Ibukun. Ibukun's question is a little bit similar to that of Adiola. He wants to know how Lagos State will collect taxes from people who are working as white-collar jobs and even artisans. I think you've partially answered that as well.
Well, I mean, people who work with white-collar job people typically are collected through their employees.
Right.
And we send tax administrators from time to time to look at their position just to be sure that they are collecting the right taxes and that they are remitting the same.
Let's get to Ayo. Ayo is interested in the red line and the blue line. Are they captured in 2021 budget?
Yes, they are. But the big portion of how the red line and the blue line will be delivered will not be captured in the budget, because it's going to be delivered by a combination of public-private partnership and around structured financing models that do not bring it immediately into the budget. So when we announce that we have closed the financing for the red line, it means that the red line is going to go ahead, right? And that will happen, right? The contractor is primed. And has been mobilized, right? The same thing, we are working on closing the financing for the blue line as well, and we will go ahead to pursue that. When I talked about 30-70, we're not leaving the 70. We need to, that's why I use the word intelligence.
I remember you said that.
Intelligence. You just need to be able to get the systems that make it easy for you to capture them and make it easy for them also to make the payments. And we're working different schemes. LRS is working, our lands bureau is working, our fiscal planning, everybody is working to just ensure that people who are willing to pay will pay easily, and those who are not willing to pay will get convinced
Lagos
that paying is good to do.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Brief break. When we return, we'll be hitting the finish line on the program this morning. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. All right, then. So we're gradually winding to the end of the program this morning. But we still have some outstandings, and some are also connecting with us as well from our social media platform. Fumi is linking up with us. Fumi from Etiosa says, my family has been positively impacted by the Lagos-Ibadan railway corridor. What is the Lagos State government's plan to complete the ongoing interstate rail line? Okay, all right, we're taking note of that. Yes, and I know Bidemi was also asking a question about private sector participation.
Yes. I'll just take all of these questions, including the one from Ayogba on the Fort Mainland Bridge. We're making a lot of progress on the Fort Mainland Bridge. We've cut down those who expressed interest up to, we're now at 10, and we're needing to put in together all the data that is required to get them into the data room so that they can then bid and come out with an intelligent proposition for us to go. Or Bidemi's question about private sector participation. When we talk about being audacious in the budget and taking the budget up, it's so that we can stimulate growth in the Lagos economy. When we move our budget on infrastructure from 221 to 291, it is because small businesses will get involved and there will be the money flow within the economy. It is our intention to stimulate the economy, which will enable monies to flow within the economy and will cause some of these small businesses to get involved with the Lagos government, but also to get better because of improved infrastructure, improved programs and initiatives. Fumi's question is in line. We're doing quite a lot on the rail line. I spoke about the red line, which we have closed. That red line will move 22.5 million people monthly when completed. It has about 10 bridges, 8 bridges, 13 pedestrian stations. Once all those things are complete, right, she will begin to benefit what she says she benefited from the Lagos-Ibadan rail.
All right.
We've also advertised other rail lines like the Green Line and the rest so that we can attract participation.
That's right.
And deliver all of these things on a timely basis.
Okay, then, lots to really chew, even as the program wants to end. But your parting thought to our listeners this morning, Honourable Sam Egube, what's your message to listeners in terms of achieving this ambitious budget of 1.16 trillion naira? What's your message?
My message is that we are organized to perform in Lagos, right? Both in government and in the private sector. We are going to work very closely with the private sector in delivering outcomes that ensure that the quality of life of Lagosians continue to improve. We like to say that citizens' participation, again, is significant foundational idea of Mr. Governor, right? So let Lagosians participate in their government, let them speak up, let them contribute, let them pay their taxes, but let them also share ideas and thoughts like some of them have shared today. And anytime they see things going wrong, like they see people driving one way, they should intervene as citizens. Also, not to encourage them, they should ensure the buses which they are on do not go one way.
Right.
They should ensure they do not litter the road by throwing dirt on the road.
Right.
Let's just participate together, and certainly as we put our hands together, again, Ajimoshe will be sounded and Lagos will get better.
Succinctly put, and I can tell you, aptly described as well, is the Honourable Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Honourable Sam Egube. Nice having you in the building. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Terry, for having me.
Great. So that's how far we've gone in terms of keeping tabs on the Lagos State 2021 budgets. In the no distant future, we'll still have the Commissioner back to dwell on some aspects, especially as we continue to actualize the themes agenda of Mr. Governor. But we have to go. The program this morning has been produced by Krode Bamishile. Maximum thanks to Kaidema Folashiri and, of course, Philip Akinwara. Not forgetting Mubosola Kasali. Our executive producer remains still and very resolute. Talking about Tayo Akonle. All right, till tomorrow when the program makes a return, I am Victor Terry, and I leave you with the words of Harry S. Truman. He says, men make history and not the other way around. In periods where there is no leadership, society stands still. Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. Till then, have a splendid day. Bye.